Rams fans, welcome in on this edition of Rams Showcase. The playoff picture is getting clear and some rivals are officially out. Plus, Rams have clinching scenarios, but get out your notepads. And later, time for revenge. We preview Cardinals at Rams. Let's rock.
This is Rams Showcase with your host, Sheriff Joe Bags.
Yes, welcome into it, Rams Showcase. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. Got a big old football game going on this weekend as the LA Rams trying to clinch a playoff spot. Hopefully get into the playoffs for the 33rd time in franchise history, and that can all go down officially this weekend. We'll get into how that can happen here in just a moment, and also the game preview, talking Cardinals at Rams. We'll, of course, get into that as well. Thursday night football, we'll get a big answer to our playoff questions as the Seahawks will be playing against the Bears, and if the Bears win that game, obviously some things kind of shake up and things get real cool for the LA Rams. So we'll get into all those scenarios here shortly. It is Christmas Day as a date of recording, so naturally, I definitely forgot to ask for fan quesos. So we don't have those this week. We'll get into those. Big one going into next week, of course, as that'll be the final week of the season and possibly a situation where the LA Rams and Seattle Seahawks are playing for the division. Shades of 2010 kind of popping into my head. Damn you, Charlie Whitehurst. Still not forgiven. Never will be. We'll get into all that, though, here shortly. First, though, I just wanted to kind of mention a little shout-out the Rams production squad, because I think ultimately this whole season we've seen some really incredible content come out of the Los Angeles Rams from the official pages. The Rams revealed that JB Long does all season, top tier. That is my favorite piece of content that the Rams put out themselves. But also the Between the Horns have been really, really good lately. And then also this week, specifically on the McVay show, we had Rams COO Kevin Demoff pop in, and I think gave some really cool insight into some different things and kind of, I don't want to say hinted at certain things as far as like uniforms and that stuff goes, because it was kind of vague and all that, but I love hearing from Kevin Demoff. That guy's absolutely awesome. The way that he's been running this franchise now for many, many years, I think he's a big part of why this franchise is in a good spot right now. So Kevin Demoff making his appearance on the McVay show, absolutely awesome. We've seen Les pop in a few times. We've seen, obviously Sean a bunch, and then Kevin Demoff as well. So really cool stuff as we do get into another short week, I suppose, as Saturday night football headed your way this weekend, of course. No transactions to get into today or this week, but did want to just keep it on your radar that the Rams are still looking at making a decision on whether John Johnson makes his return or Troy Reeder makes his return. The Rams do only have one slot remaining to pull somebody back off of IR and put him back onto the active roster, so that decision does need to be made. And per McVay, it does kind of sound like that they're both, first of all, good to go, that they could come back at really any moment is kind of what it sounds like, especially John Johnson. I have less information on Troy Reeder, but based on what John Johnson's been saying on social media, stuff like that, it does seem like he is healthy and ready to go now, but we are kind of waiting. We're in a weird spot right now, and it kind of sounds like McVay, just based on his comments, that they are seeing if there is any situation where somebody goes down in one of these position groups, and then that becomes a numbers game at that point. So if, I'm not trying to put anything out into the universe or anything like that, but what if like a Cam Curl goes down or a Quentin Lake or something like that? John Johnson obviously would be the clear-cut pick there, but then if on the other side of that we lose maybe Spates or Roseboom or something like that, then maybe Troy Reeder would be the call. I know everybody's emotions on Troy Reeder. I'm not here to comment on that. If the Rams need a body, he's experienced and would be the guy that comes into that slot. I'm not thinking necessarily that Reeder will be the one to come back. I do think it will be John Johnson, but if something were to happen in that inside linebacker room, Troy Reeder is the next best option in that grouping. So that's kind of what we're waiting on now. Obviously, we're completely healthy right now, which is crazy going into this part of the season. Absolutely love it. But the Rams being healthy right now kind of does, I don't want to say hurt that decision, but in a way it kind of does, because we're not sure who to really bring back. You don't want to make a decision and then you're short at a different position grouping if somebody were to go down after that decision is made. So obviously, kind of just waiting right now and kind of seeing how it shakes out. But John Johnson, before he went down, was playing absolutely top tier. He was one of the better safeties in the entire NFL before he went out. And Troy Reeder, before he went out, very normal year so far. It was kind of average. He and Roseboom were not really playing that great of football. But then when Spates came in, I think Roseboom, I don't know really how to describe it, but it kind of seemed like, I guess I'll try to put it this in a way that makes somewhat sense, I hope, is that I've worked, my last job that I had, there was two people that I worked with a lot, and one of them, anxious, panicky, freaked out at everything, anything got chaotic, it was always like, oh no, and then the other person, extremely calm in every situation. No matter what happened, it was like, hey, we'll figure it out, we'll be all right. And for myself, I don't want to say that I did a worse job with the person who was always really calm or anything like that, but I also kind of knew, like, I can freak out if I need to, like, if it happens, you know what I mean? That's okay, because I've got this person here, they're going to be calm, everything's going to be fine. On the flip side of that, though, if I was working with the person who was anxious, panicky, and stuff like that, then I kind of went into it with the mindset of, like, well, I can't be that, because we can't both be freaking out. Like, we can't both have anxiety attacks right now. You know what I mean? So, I kind of use that example in myself, and I kind of feel like that's the way that Roseboom has been, because it's like, next to Troy Reeder, it's like Reeder's been experienced. Obviously, he's been with us for a few years and stuff, and maybe Roseboom kind of had this, like, well, I've got Troy here, and he's experienced, so, like, he's the one. But then you got Omar coming in, undrafted rookie free agent, and maybe he kind of came in with like, well, now we can't both be this guy, like one of us has to shine. And so maybe that's the way it is. I don't know the inner workings of the Christian Roseboom brain, but in my head, that's exactly how it went down. So that's good news, right? Let's go ahead and look at the playoff picture, the standings, and all that good business here. We're going to go ahead and start with the NFC West, just to peek at the standings here, because a lot of shakeups have happened here, and the answer's a lot more simple. A lot less like, well, if this happens and this team does this, and it's a Tuesday, then this guy happens to park on the left side of his driveway instead this time. Then, we don't have all of those anymore. So the Rams are sitting in first place by themselves officially now in the NFC West with a 9-6 record. The Seattle Seahawks are in second, just behind the Rams at 8-7. The Arizona Cardinals sitting in third with a 7-8 record and have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. Also, the San Francisco 49ers sitting at 6-9, eliminated from playoff contention, and kind of just in a weird spot right now as far as their future goes, and seems like a lot of questions, a lot of rumors are now officially beginning for San Fran, so that'll be fun to watch, obviously, as a rival, to watch the 49ers offseason kind of unfold. That'll be something really interesting. I don't think that it's impossible that somebody like Shanahan would maybe step down and maybe take a few years, or maybe not a few years, but maybe just 1 year to kind of just reset his brain. He does kind of have a little bit of a vibe, like not everything's in control right now. And I will say this, that even in the 22 season for the Rams, with McVay and going, a 4-win season, even in that season, it didn't feel like we had lost ourselves. We just kind of knew, like, hey, we're beat up like crazy. Our injury list is insane, and we just don't have the same intensity. But it didn't feel like our culture was crumbling. Like, we still were the Rams. It kind of seemed like the injuries were stacking up on us, and then we were also getting everybody's best game. We're coming off of a Super Bowl win. Everybody kind of looks at you as like you're the bad guy now. Like they're going to come to play, so we got to be really take them serious. And it kind of feels like that's what happened to the Rams the 22 season. Didn't feel like we lost our culture. Does feel like San Fran, their culture is fractured right now at the very least, and it's definitely repairable. Absolutely. I mean, winning solves everything, and they're in just a spot right now where they got some decisions to make. And do you pay a Brock Purdy? What's going to happen with Shanahan? Is CMC going to be able to continue to play with his injuries and the situation that he's looking at? He's probably never going to be the same running back that he has been. He's probably past his peak, his absolute pinnacle of performance. He's past that now. I would guess, at least. just considering the injuries that he has, I don't think that he'll ever be the same. Then you have, Debo completely falling apart. Ayuk is hurt. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation in San Fran. We'll kind of watch it, and, it's not going to hurt my feelings at all if we just get to sit back and watch it burn, you know what I mean? Because it's pretty fun right now, I'll tell you that much. But that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the NFC West goes. Nothing too crazy anymore with just 2 weeks to go. It's down to just the Rams and the Seahawks to get in. The Rams have been eliminated from wild card contention, by the way, so the only path into the playoffs is a division win. So that is, of course, where the eyes are set right now. So just got to win this division, and that's it, because cannot make the wild card anymore. If the Rams win the division, this week will be the first of at least 3 home games for the Rams, which is rather exciting. But keep in your mind as well, Rams have actually won their last 5 road games. So if the Rams do need to hit the road in January for a playoff spot, I don't hate it necessarily. Obviously, there's some really good football teams in the NFC playoff race right now, and some that play in some terrible places. I don't want to go to Philly, to play the Eagles in what would probably be a pretty boring game to watch as far as, action goes, but quality football either way. But, just a rough place to play, cold. Their fans are obnoxious as heck, so you got that part. Then you got Green Bay, obviously a miserable place to play. The Rams wouldn't need to go there because Green Bay will be a wild card team, so I guess that kind of doesn't even matter. But Philly is really the one, man. That's that'd be a tough game if the Rams end up going out there. But obviously Minnesota would come to us, Green Bay would come to us, Washington would come to us, and then even in the current standings right now, Atlanta also would come to us. So we'll kind of see how it all shakes out as far as that all goes. But I mean, there's some good teams in both sides of the playoff picture right now. So no shortage of sick teams. 3 NFC slots, by the way, have yet to be decided, so we still do have more bubble teams than in the AFC, as there's just a few teams looking at clinching and wrapping that up in the AFC. 3 slots, though, in the NFC. The 4 teams that have clinched in the NFC, the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, Minnesota Vikings, and Green Bay Packers clinched with their win on Monday Night Football against the New Orleans Saints. Beat up on the New Orleans Saints to lock in their playoff spot, so they're feeling pretty good. And Minnesota and Detroit, and actually Philly as well, all currently fighting for that number 1 seed. Likely, though, in my opinion, to go to an NFC North competitor, not the Philadelphia Eagles. In the wild card right now, this is something that the Rams will not be into. I know I said, I think it was last week, that we'll continue to look at this until, because it's like the Rams could still be. We're not, but now we got to look at it for potential opponents, because Rams have not clinched a playoff spot yet. So I am going to kind of operate under that mentality that it's not guaranteed because it's not 100% yet, although it is extremely likely. But we're looking at the wild card to see who the Rams would be playing if they were, of course, to just lock in their spot. Still sitting potential 3 or 4 seed, by the way. Those can definitely fluctuate depending on what goes down in the NFC South. Your first wildcard team is the Minnesota Vikings at 13-2. For a 13-2 team to be a wildcard team, somebody's out here absolutely murdering souls. And that is the Detroit Lions, of course. But Minnesota could slip into that spot, make Detroit hit the road for their first playoff game. Minnesota hosting the Green Bay Packers this week, who are the next team up on the wildcard list. They are sitting at 11-4, and they, of course, at Minnesota. And they can kind of wiggle in and get higher up there, but do they need to? Do they necessarily want to? I'm not even really sure. Obviously, you're going to want to go in and beat your division opponent, so I'm not thinking that they're going to take this game lightly or anything. But Green Bay playing some really, really good football right now, and I'm kind of hoping that matchup, that's probably my favorite matchup on the Sunday slate, hoping that matchup actually is a competitive one where each team is trying to, do something there. But again, these are both playoff teams, so also do you kind of withhold stuff? Lots of things that, lots of mindsets to get into on all of it. But that's a game I'm definitely interested in seeing. And currently, the final wild card slot, and actually will most likely be the wild card slot here is the Washington Commanders at 10-5. They are this week hosting the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday Night Football, who are sitting currently in the division lead. So it could be, that's good. They're both going to be fighting for stuff, is what I'm trying to say here. Atlanta, obviously, they have not locked up that division. They've got Tampa Bay right there, the same record, so they are right there, nipping at their heels. So that'll be a fun battle to watch that one unfold. Your division leaders, we have currently the Detroit Lions sitting in number 1. They would have a bye, of course, and again, like I said, the Vikings absolutely could slip into that spot. Sitting at number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles, they can still get one, but ultimately, most likely, probably will just stick at the 2 spot. And right now, if the season were to end today, we're in the middle of a football game. I'm watching it on my phone right here, but if the season were to end right now, the Philadelphia Eagles would host the Washington Commanders. The 3 seed right now, we are LA Rams, can clinch this weekend and currently would be hosting the Green Bay Packers, a team that's sent the Rams to a 1-4 record right before their bye week. But the Rams played really well that day, and I kind of want the Packers again. But in fairness, I also want Detroit again. I also want Minnesota again. So bring them on, dude. I mean, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And in order to beat the best, you need to play the best. So bring them on out, man. If we don't win, then we shouldn't have anyway. You know what I mean? So it's all good. I want to play everybody that's super sick, though, And number 4 right now, the 4 seed, the Atlanta Falcons, same record as the Bucs. Currently, they would be hosting the Vikings, but I'll be honest, I expect Tampa Bay to take that slot, and I think that the Rams will get the 3 seed. So I do think that Detroit will get 1, Philly 2, Rams 3, Tampa Bay 4, and then I feel pretty good about the wild card slots staying exactly where they're at right now, with either Minnesota or Detroit. I'm not confident in that. Detroit's super beat up, but then Green Bay and then Washington as well, locking up just the end of the playoff picture there. So I mentioned clinching scenarios for the Los Angeles Rams, which is rather exciting stuff. We love this. All right, this is where we get into the real fun chaos. All right, and chaos is accurate because I'm not going to remember who all we need to root for on Sunday or over the weekend because these games are everywhere these last few weeks. But there's one simple scenario for the Rams to clinch the division this week, and that is the Seahawks lose or tie with the Bears on Thursday Night Football, and the Rams win Saturday night. Then it's over. Lock it up. Nothing cool going down week 18. Maybe see Jimmy Garoppolo, a lot of Blake Corum and Ronnie Rivers and stuff like that, and kind of have just a relaxed week 18. You know what I mean? But that's obviously 2 things that we need to happen. Or the Rams can clinch the division with the Rams winning on Saturday night, no matter what happens on Thursday Night Football. So in this situation, the Seahawks winning Thursday Night Football, Rams winning, and 4 of these 6 teams winning. All right, because that's a strength of victory, which is the 5th tiebreaker. So we got to go pretty deep into this, and it goes down to 12, which is the coin toss. But we need Cincinnati, Washington, Buffalo, Minnesota, Cleveland, San Fran. 4 of those teams to win, and a Rams win sends the Rams into the playoffs. And all of those teams are playing at home. Looks like, Cincinnati playing Denver. Denver is fighting. They're in a clinching situation. If they win, they go to the playoffs. Washington, Atlanta, we talked about that one. Buffalo does play the Jets, so we feel decent about that one, but it is a division game. Minnesota is hosting Green Bay. Not sure if that one will happen or not. At least Minnesota home, but again, division game. Cleveland is taking on Miami. Miami still, I think, is still in the fight, but, not very exciting right now. Cleveland to beat Miami might be tough, though, considering the situation that Miami is in as far as the playoffs go. And then San Fran, I don't want to say root for San Fran because I would never, but I think in this situation it's not, and I don't know if this makes sense or anybody can relate to this at all, but it wouldn't be me rooting for San Fran to win. It would simply be me rooting for Detroit to lose. And I think that's a big difference, and maybe I'm alone there, and somebody's out there saying it's the same thing. It's not, though. It's not, though. Okay. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Rams win and Seahawks loss, then we don't need to worry about all that other business. But of course, hopefully you were taking your notes there, and we'll see this shakeout this weekend, and hopefully be getting some t-shirts and hats this weekend, because that sounds awesome. With Seattle's game on Thursday, the Rams will, of course, know if they can clinch on Saturday night. We'll just have that answer already. But if the Rams do clinch this week, that last game of the season, probably just going to slide into your regular afternoon time slot, your 1:05, 1:25 kickoff time against the Seattle Seahawks, because then they would be out, we would be in, so it wouldn't really be, high-flying TV action. But if the Rams do not clinch this week, and it comes down to Week 18, the Rams could be getting the night slot in Week 18, getting pushed to Sunday Night Football. There's not really that many good matchups, actually, for the Week 18, possible flex into Sunday Night Football. Not a lot of really good options, and if I had to guess, right now, before, Week 17, well, we're in Week 17 officially, but before we fully dive into Week 17, I would guess that it's actually going to be the battle for the NFC 1 seed, Minnesota versus Detroit. I think that one makes sense to be the night game. Because then, you're fighting for a home game, too. You're not just fighting to have a week off the following week, but you're also fighting to not hit the road the following weekend for a super wild card weekend. So I think that'll be the night game, but it is not impossible that the Rams do get that. Chiefs versus Broncos could also come into play if the Broncos are still fighting. But the Chiefs, they just locked in the number 1 seed with their Christmas Day win. So I'm not sure how exciting that action would be. We do have, of course, our football games. Saturday night, NFL Network will host the action for the Cardinals at the Los Angeles Rams. We'll get into your full game preview here soon. But first, a word from today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. UnderdogFantasy.com is where you can check them out. Over 5 million happy players, over $2 billion won. Go get you some of them bucks, dude. Heck yes. It's super simple. All you got to do is pick a player that you like or dislike, and then you just pick higher or lower. It is really that simple. And then you also get sweet perks such as the vulture protection. You select a running back to score a touchdown in your pick'em entry, they get vultured. Rescue that entry, man. Telling you, that's absolutely awesome. Also, that red zone rush, super fun and super simple. You pick whether or not a player will score a touchdown. You swipe right for yes, left for no. We've all played that game plenty of times, right? Super, super simple. And your entry will automatically be boosted, and you'll get 51% profit boost when you play. There are over 5 million fans that are already enjoying Underdog, and with their pick'em game, you can win money just by picking what you think your favorite player is going to do this weekend. And Underdog is available in 33 states. That does include California. Rams fans, Texas, and Georgia are also included. My favorite part is just how simple it is. I talk about that every week, but because it's the truth, dude. It is the easiest app I think I have on my entire phone, which is too many apps in general, but Underdog makes it extremely simple, man. You just click on that search. I type in LOS and hit enter. Your game's right there, and I'm just firing picks immediately, dude. Immediately. So that's my favorite part, man. Simplicity. I'm an old man when it comes to these new apps. Don't get your new apps in my business, man. I don't want to try your new app and try to figure out new stuff, all right? I want to just keep my normal rhythm here. Underdog definitely helps me do that. So, you need to download the app today. Use promo code SHOWCASE. You'll get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That is promo code SHOWCASE for up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Higher or lower, you make the call on Underdog. Must be 18 or over, 19 or over in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 over in Colorado for some games, 21 and over in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, it's 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. We got your full game preview. Cardinals visiting Los Angeles to take on the Rams. A revenge game. Full game preview. That's next on Rams Showcase. Welcome back in. This is Rams Showcase. My name, Sheriff Joe Bags. The Los Angeles Rams back at home for the final 2 weeks. First of two, Arizona Cardinals getting the business. Arizona Cardinals are 7-8. The Rams 9-6. SoFi Stadium, the stage for this matchup. 5:15 p.m. kickoff time on NFL Network. If you're watching at home, unless you're just going to be there, then go have a friggin' sweet time, dude. We get Rich Eisen and Kurt Warner on the call. Jamie Erdahl will be on the sideline. Cool for Kurt to be able to, call a game for one of his favorite NFL teams in the entire universe, the Cardinals. That's awesome for him. High of 62 in Inglewood on Saturday. Upper 50s to start the game. Should be mid 50s at the end of the game if you are heading out there. So make sure you are prepared for that as needed. All right. You betters -6.5 for the Rams on the line there. That's a pretty good one, man. That's kind of more in line what I thought the Jets line would be, and would have covered. Just saying. -290 on the money line. 47.5 for your over under. As far as your pants picks goes, I realized I forgot to talk about this last week, but we did do it, of course, with the Rams back at home and in the royal jersey for this one, and we only got one sole pick. That's coming from Payo time, as I think I got into the head of Rams house and convinced him to go with the royal. Although, I don't know why I wanted to do that. I don't know why I tried to convince anybody, all right? I just feel like the Rams are making a royal push this week for whatever that means. I don't know if there's a double meaning there or not, but either way, I feel good about going the Royal on Royal. We have not seen that combo this year, so that would be a first on the season, but feels like something that we would do. It's about Christmas time as well, which, I don't know, maybe that Broncos game is just staying in my head, that I feel like if it's Christmas time, the Rams are on blue. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm wrong. Arizona Cardinals have officially been eliminated from the playoffs with a 7-8 record, and they also could, in theory, also still be above 500. The Rams already clinched an above 500 record by their win in New York last week against the New York Jets. Rams looking for their 33rd playoff appearance in franchise history. They are 26-28 in the postseason all time, so maybe we can take the lead in that realm and also, make that trophy case look a little sicker. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty sweet stuff, man. It would also only be the second playoff game for the Rams since the Super Bowl win. We've only played in one since then, which, I mean, that wasn't that long ago, obviously, but it's starting to feel like it was, and especially when you say we've only been in one playoff game since that Super Bowl, it's like, oh, that's like, I feel like we're always there, dude. Like, you know what I mean? So maybe I'm alone there, which, possible. Injuries, none. That's pretty cool, huh? None to talk about for the Rams. That it's empty. It's just there's just nobody there. All right. And as far as what we know from the Arizona Cardinals now is they will be down there starting left tackle and starting right tackle. We'll talk about the potential impact of that here in a moment. This is the 94th all-time meeting between these two teams, which does mean 100 will be the second meeting of the 2027 meeting. Or season, unless these two teams happen to meet within the next few years in the playoffs. Rams do lead the all-time series 50, 41, and 2. The last time these two teams met was just earlier this year, 41-10. That was in week 2. Not a good day for the Rams. One of the worst days under McVay, I think, as far as like just effort level goes. It was just a bad day. Really not a lot of good to take away from that one. I think everybody kind of agrees, though, that was a dud. Kind of let it get away from us early and then just never really wrangled it in. And, Arizona Cardinals got us, man. It happens. First ever time these two teams met was on October 3rd of 1937. That was Chicago versus Cleveland, and the Chicago Cardinals beat the Cleveland Rams 6-0. The Rams had their first loss in Arizona since 2014, so Aaron Donald only saw the Rams lose in Arizona one time in his career. It was his rookie season, and didn't lose there again, which is pretty sweet stuff. The Rams have also won 13 of the last 16 against the Arizona Cardinals. Definitely just giving them the business, And the Rams at home versus the Cardinals lead that all-time series 25-23. So that one is definitely tighter. The Rams beat up on the Cardinals in Arizona or wherever they play, whether that's, Chicago, St. Louis, or Arizona. Rams tend to do a good job wherever the Cardinals are hosting them. Some stuff that we're watching for in this game, of course, the Rams are very much a different team from that Week 2 meeting. And I would even say if you're watching game previews from, Cardinals creators or even Rams creators, and anybody's kind of referencing that week 2 game to talk about this game, I think it's irrelevant. I really do. This team is so different from back then. First of all, we were down a lot of guys. Our offensive line was still beat up. A.J. Jackson was still suspended for that. Then we lost Cooper, we lost Puka, like stuff like that. It's just, that was such a different team. And then also you look at the defense, that was like Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and Cam Kinchin's second career game, so obviously they weren't in their rhythm yet, and very much more so today. So I just don't think that looking at that week 2 game and trying to pick anything like, well, the Rams did this and the Cardinals did this, I think that's irrelevant. Throw that out. We're a different football team, and I think largely they're a different football team. They were better in the beginning of the year. They're not that good right now. The Rams were not that good then. Much, much better football team now. You know what I mean? So I think that just needs to be put away. That doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Let's take a look at the matchup in this one. We'll start with the Rams offense going against the Cardinals defense. The Arizona Cardinals are 20th in total defense going against the 16th ranked total offense coming out of the Rams. These numbers here, passing for the Rams, have definitely dropped over the last few weeks as not high-flying passing action in San Fran or taking on the Jets. 13th right now in total passing yards. Going against the 12th ranked pass defense in Arizona. Running the ball is where the Rams have definitely been improving. Up to now 107.5. That's 20th in the league, going against the 22nd ranked run defense for the Cardinals. Points being put up a game. Rams doing almost 22 a game. That's 18th in the league. And the Cardinals giving up almost 23, tied for 14th. And on third down conversion, the Rams are converting 36.6, tied for 23rd in the NFL. And the Cardinals giving up, not too far from half of their third downs to their opponents. That's tied for 28th. So obviously something to look out for there. The Rams have done a great job in getting more first downs than their opponent the last few weeks. I think it was San Fran, I believe we had the same, but we had a good stretch there of having more first downs than our opponent. I think Philly was the one that got us most recently as far as actively outnumbering us. San Fran was a wash, so there's that part of it. Rams have only thrown for more than 200 passing yards in the last only once in the last 5 games, but are 4-1 during that stretch. In that same stretch, the Rams' only loss was the game that they didn't rush for more than 100 yards. So those running numbers definitely come into play. And when you get to, late November and into December and going into January, you got to be able to run the football. I think everybody kind of knows that. And right now, good news, Kyren Williams in that offensive line, they're doing an awesome job running the ball. It would be nice to have a little bit more of a compliment in the passing game. Matthew Stafford coming off of a 110 day. That's pretty rough. That kind of feels like those days that we used to see the Rams quarterbacks be like Kyle Bowler and stuff like that. And we were just like, I don't know if he's going to complete these. Like, who knows? And I'm not going to say that Matthew Stafford's playing poorly or anything like that, because he is not necessarily playing poorly. He had that pick against the Jets that was kind of one of those like, come on, man. But almost like, yeah, get that out of the way, and do that against the Jets in a game that's like, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and not crush them, but it was just like overall looked like a better football team, and just the length of the game, we led to more points than them. So, but like I said, 110 passing yards, and back-to-back games where Stafford and the pass game did not really get going, but San Fran was rainy and wet and kind of lame and stuff like that, and then it was super cold out in New York to take on the Jets. So I kind of attribute it to that as well, not necessarily Matthew Stafford playing poorly. It's just a couple of back-to-back road games where we kind of got unfortunate weather, but now we get back to Southern California where Matthew Stafford and the gang should be able to get it rolling a little bit more. The Cardinals coming off of a rough day against the run as they gave up 243 to the Carolina Panthers last week, who are not playing bad football right now, kind of playing some spoiler action right now, but they're playing decent actually to end the season. Should maybe potentially carry over into next year as far as what their offseason looks like. This is not Panther Showcase though, so we don't need to talk about that. Cardinals haven't given up under 100 rushing yards in the last 3 games, so something that Kyren Williams should be able to take advantage of, especially with them big boys up front, just pushing dudes back. Man, that's been awesome to see. The run blocking from this Rams offensive line has been really sick, and even when it's not, Kyren is able to push piles. He's able to kind of find really small holes and kind of keep pushing, get an extra 2, 3, 4 yards on runs, which obviously those add up real nicely. And by the end of the game, you're looking real nice. And rewatching the Jets game, one thing I think it stuck out to me more in this game, but it definitely is something that we've seen all year, is this offensive line pushing piles and just the way that when Kyren is, getting stood up and he's pumping his feet, all 5 of them are going at least towards the pile to push it. And that's been really fun to watch, and something I think you should watch as you're checking out the game. Watch the offensive line and watch the way that they make those pushes, man, because that's helping a ton, or picking up big first downs on stuff like that when it would have been like 2nd and 4, 3rd and 3 or something like that. Instead, we're getting first downs. So definitely top tier stuff there. Rams offense has been rolling on the ground, likely going to attack that pretty heavy this week. Like I said, they've been playing well there, and just, we're in that time of year, man. So going against the Cardinals as well, not really sure what we'll get out of the Arizona Cardinals, considering they were just eliminated. I don't think that they're really doing the draft pick thing and trying to see how high they can get, because, obviously they're sitting middle of the road right now, so I don't think that, being 16 or 17 is going to really matter to them. You can get really good players anywhere in the draft, and the Rams prove that, I think, more than anybody. But also, Rams have not given up a sack in the last 3 games, which is an incredible streak coming from this Rams offensive line. Cardinals, though, had 3 just last week against Bryce. Best matchup on this one for Rams offense going against that Cardinals defense. I'm going with Kyren Williams against Kyzir White. I like Kyzir White. I think he's a really good linebacker. I like Kyren Williams more, especially in this matchup. I think that this will be a fun one to watch, though, considering the talent of White. Rams passing attack, though, hasn't really been firing like the way we want it to. So between that, and in fairness, like I said, those road games, bad weather, cold, stuff like that. But the Rams will likely continue to hammer the run game this week, just considering the time of year. And Kyren is playing really, really well. But like I said, playing awesome. Hopefully he plays so well that we don't even see him week 18. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. But like I said, White is a really solid linebacker, so those will be fun matchups to watch for sure. And hopefully we can see some Kyzir White ankle guts being spilt on the SoFi turf. That'd be pretty sick stuff. Which brings us into our 3 to see, which I'm starting off with Kyren Williams, because the way that he's running right now, he's on pace to have one of the better seasons for a Rams running back that we've ever seen, and kind of did it quietly. I think considering that the Rams, we know that the passing attack with McVay and this squad has been, top tier since he's shown up, and how Cooper and Puka and Tyler and DeMarcus and like all these guys are obviously on fire, but Kyren Williams, man, the way he's running right now, playing really good football. We'll talk about some milestones here in a moment that, he's really he is having one of the better seasons we've ever seen from a Rams running back, which is really cool. I don't know if you know this, the Rams have had some pretty sick running backs in their time. So good news for K-Dub, who's killing it right now. But no reason to get overly excited to be overly excited about what the Rams' game plan will be in this one, considering it just feels like get the win and get out. And Kyren running the ball feels like that'll be hit pretty heavy. Tyler Higbee will go next here. Big Rig Higgs, making it into the end zone last week, absolutely top tier. Even on Steve Avila's mic'd up, even the way that they all lose their minds when Higbee gets in, so sick. We did it also at the bar. We just lost our minds, and it was so cool because it was one of those plays too where I didn't think he was going to get in. And then as he does, then you see the replay and you see he really did get in. It was just we lost our minds. It was super, super cool, man. But we can already feel his presence. You can already feel that Big Rig Higgs energy into the offense, which is rather exciting. And something of note, and it feels like it was a lot more, but only played in 27% of the Rams' offensive snaps last week. Feels like more, which shows you exactly the impact that he has. So now that he's back into the rhythm, that 27% probably creeping closer to 50 this week, if I had to guess, if not a little bit higher, depending on how the game's going, of course. And then obviously, as we get into the playoffs, he's going to be full go, which is rather exciting stuff. But only 27%, but had a really big impact in that game. So that's good news. Next up here, I'm going to go with Puka Nacua. I'd definitely love to say that Cup goes off this week, and that is always an option. Cooper Kupp is always in a position to potentially just go off on a team. So then a team like the Cardinals as well, that can certainly happen. But I'm going Puka here because, let's face it, he's the guy right now. He is the guy. He's getting more snaps than Cooper Kupp. I think Cooper Kupp, I don't have the numbers in front of me anymore. Cooper Kupp's snap numbers, it was pretty close. He was only a couple snaps below Puka, and then also only a couple snaps above DeMarcus as well. So pretty tight in there as far as the snap counts go. And I've been really curious into the snap counts this season specifically and seeing how the Rams are deploying these guys and how 4 Rams tight ends have more snaps than Tutu. You know what I mean? Like, I think that kind of stuff is really telling. And people always disagree with me on the Tutu stuff. And it's not that I dislike the guy. I think he's awesome. I just think that he's gone after this year. And it's because his role on this team just isn't that hefty. That's all beside the point because Puka Nacua is who we're talking about here on the 3-C. But the Rams will need a spark in the passing game, man. And I think that if they are going to get that this week, I think it comes from Puka Nacua. To kind of just really get that rolling. You kick that first Puka Nacua domino over, and then all of a sudden, Cooper Kupp is more open now. Tyler Higbee's getting some really sick catches. Tutu's flying past the safeties and stuff, and then DeMarcus is out here killing it, getting wide open in the end zone for no reason at all. Stuff like that, man. So I think that Puka will be the one to kind of spark it, but he's definitely taken over that top spot in the wide receiver room, and I don't think that should really surprise anybody. Let's flip over to the other side of the football here. We got the Cardinals offense going against the Rams defense. So the Cardinals almost have a top 10 offensive unit sitting right now with the 11th ranked offense going against the Rams defense, which is 24th in the league right now as far as total yards goes. Has been playing well in the last few weeks, so we'll kind of dive into that in a second. Passing the ball, 21st ranked pass attack for that Cardinals offense, and Kyler Murray going against the 19th ranked pass defense coming from your young Rams secondary, young Rams defense entirely. 4th ranked run attack for the from the Arizona Cardinals. James Conner and Kyler getting it done there. The Rams 25th against the run. Points being put up almost 23 for the Cards. That's 14th, and giving up a little over 23 for your Rams. That is 17th. And on third down conversions, top 10 for the Cardinals, sitting at number 8 in the league. And the Rams defense giving up almost 40%. That is 17th in the NFL. So, Rams defense has given up 14 or less points in 3 of their last 4 games. That one in there, of course, being the 42-point performance from the Buffalo Bills. A game that if you were there, dude, you get it. You get how awesome that was, man. Being in the building for that one, absolutely chaotic. But outside of that game, the Rams defense has been, kind of shutting people up a little bit on the points, which is good news. Like I said, just 14 or less in the last 3 and only 15 points given up in the last 2 games. So that's good news there. Rams run defense giving up less than 4 yards a carry in each of the last 2 games as well. And, I mean, you got to look at that. Breece Hall and the Jets, they had not really gotten the run game going. And then before that, I don't even know who's running the ball for the 49ers anymore. They're so deep into that running back depth chart that these are dudes I've never heard of and stuff. So I think that does need to be considered, especially when, that Saquon game is still kind of just being a thorn in my brain, man. I can't get that out of there. So we just got to shut somebody down who's really sick in order for me to feel better about it, because I'm still a little bit nervous about that run defense until further notice, man. And also James Conner coming off a game where he averaged more than 7 a carry. Big day for James Conner last week. So obviously that's something that we'll watch out for. Kyler also ran well last week, had a rushing touchdown. But I thought it was kind of interesting, too, diving into this game and this matchup, that the Rams haven't given up a rushing touchdown to a running back since Saquon, which feels like a while ago. Feels like that game's been done for a bit now, but have given up 3 rushing touchdowns since then, but those were all to Josh Allen. So, and they were all like a quarter of a yard, so, not nothing too crazy, but Saquon, the last running back to score on the Rams. Best matchup that we're going with here, I'm going to say Marvin Harrison going against Darius Williams, D-Will. As Harrison will get reps against, obviously, D-Will and whoever's opposite. I don't know if that's going to be Akello or Kobe. Don't know that answer yet. If I had to guess, Akello, but maybe, I don't know, actually. It's hard to tell. But obviously, Harrison had a really big day against the Rams. The first meeting, Darius Williams was not here for that game. He was still hurt. But Harrison's 130 versus the Rams in week 2 is his single game high. Of course, being his rookie season, very easy to look at those numbers, but that is his career high at the moment. And also his only multi-touchdown game of the season. Also, the highest yards per catch average he's had on the season. 32.5, though. He did that 130 on just 4 catches. So, obviously, kind of just let it get away from us a little bit. Maybe just didn't have a good game plan for Marvin Harrison. So I'm looking for D-Will to show up in this matchup specifically, put the Rams in a better situation to kind of control that outcome a little bit more. But D-Will's too experienced to let that happen to the Rams again. And then also we didn't have Akello at that time as well. So I'm feeling pretty decent about it. Marvin Harrison, I think, is good. I have not seen yet anything that would tell me that he's on the same level of his dad, who I watched, who many of us have watched. But I don't want to say that he can't get there, but he's not right now. But he's a rookie, so, either way, though, I like our corners going against Marvin Harrison for this one, considering we didn't have these guys in the week 2 matchup. Speaking of, when we get into our 3 to C, we're going to start with Akello Witherspoon. As, he'll also be an important one in this one. But Witherspoon has played really well the last few weeks and he started the last 2 games for the Rams, played really, really well against San Fran, and just played well, I would say, against New York. He had a few plays where I think the Rams fan base kind of was getting a little nervous, and I know a lot of people took to social media to share their displeasure in Witherspoon. But then he also had like a bunch of really good plays. So I don't know, man. I think everybody kind of jumps too quick to conclusions. You're not going to win every rep. And just because somebody loses a rep does not mean they're a bad player. Does not mean they're trash. Doesn't mean we need to trade them or bench them or anything like that. You're not going to win every rep. We're playing against pros too. Those guys are paid also, man. Like those guys also have the same goals as we do, is win, So I think that the reaction sometimes goes a little too hot. Witherspoon is playing really good ball, though. And again, I'm not sure if 4 will start this week over Kobe, but either way, this will be a good matchup to watch with the Rams going against those weapons out there for the Arizona Cardinals. Next up on the 3 to C, I'm going with a combo pack here, and specifically Jared Verse and Byron Young. I'm going with them as a combo here for a few reasons. So Byron Young, he has no sacks in the last 4 games. And in fact, or is it 5 games? I think I miswrote that, actually. His most recent sack was the safety that he got to end the game against the Minnesota Vikings. That's his most recent sack. Jared Verse had one last week, but 1 sack in the last 6 games. So these guys, numbers-wise, have not necessarily been on fire. Kobe has been playing cleanup a lot in the middle of that defense, and I think that those rushers are forcing people up and then right into the hands of like Fisk and Kobe. So I think it is a little bit of a strategy that's happening, but their numbers are dwindling. And the best part about this is left tackle and right tackle starters for the Arizona Cardinals not in this game. So both of those guys should be able to kind of feast and get after Kyler. And Kyler, we know from seeing him play against the Rams so many times that you can get him. Kyler is able to get got, all right? And we're in a sweet spot to do that right now with both of his edge rushers being down, and Jared Verse and Byron Young probably getting a little bit hungry for some sacks, dude. So hopefully we see that this week. And last up, 3 to C, defensive side, I'm going to go with Cam Curl off of his first strip sack of his career, picked up by Jared Verse. That was absolutely awesome to see getting in. And you got to think for Cam Curl, man, he's going to tell that story for the rest of his life, right? Like he's going to tell the story about how he forced a fumble, he sacked and forced a fumble on Aaron Rodgers. Like that's super cool stuff, man. So cool for Cam. But he's also been playing really good football as the last 2 weeks he has 3 passes defended. That's 4th in the NFL during that stretch. and just kind of been all over the place right now. He's got 8 passes defended on the season. That is a career high for him. I think he's right now really starting to wiggle his way into and kind of just really solidify himself in the Rams defense. His presence is a little bit more felt lately than it has been. And he has been playing, like, he's had his flashes throughout the whole season. And I like a lot of his pops, man. He's sitting people down, which has been really good to see. But right now he's playing some really good ball as far as coverage goes. Let's take a look at some connections here. And we got former Rams who are now on the Cardinals. We'll start with punter Michael Palardi, 2015 for the Rams, and head coach Jonathan Gannon. We talk about this one every time we play him. He was a scout for the Rams, 09 to 11, so nothing too crazy there. Former Cardinals who are on the Rams, we have inside linebackers coach Greg Williams. Not that one. Different one. Some NFL connections for you here. Nothing too crazy as far as, actually, neither in the NFL and college. Nothing that super jumped out to me, but we do have a few here. So Darius Williams played in Jacksonville with wide receiver Zay Jones and defensive lineman Angelo Blackson. And Kevin Dotson played in Pittsburgh with running back James Conner. So they do know each other there. As far as college goes, Kyron Williams played at Notre Dame with running back Tony Jones and outside linebacker Julian Okwara. Cam Kinchins played at Miami with cornerback Jaden Davis. Puka Nacua played at Washington with wide receiver Andrew Basalia. I'm pretty sure is how you say that one. And I could have looked it up. Probably still could. Not gonna. Jordan Whittington played at Texas with offensive lineman Christian Jones. That is it for your connections. Nothing too crazy between these two teams here. But let's take a look at the milestones as we'll start with Matthew Stafford. Coming off of a 110 day, so nothing too crazy, but in that 110, he reached 6th most passing yards in Rams franchise history, officially passing Kurt Warner. So Matthew Stafford now officially has more passing yards as a Ram than Kurt Warner. He also reached, he tied for 4th all-time in fourth quarter comebacks in NFL history, officially tied now with Matt Ryan. Currently, he has 16th most passing yards in a single season by a Rams quarterback with 2 games to go, in fairness, and he's behind just a mix of himself, Warner, Goff, Everett, and Bulger. Bulger's in there a few times, Everett's in there a few times, Goff, Warner, and then we do have some Stafford seasons as well. And then right above Stafford, sitting in that 15th slot, is Sam Bradford, and he should be able to pass him in that situation. He should be, it's not that far. I didn't write down the exact number here, but it's not that many that he needs. He needs 3 touchdown passes to pass Bob Waterfield for 7th most in franchise history, and needs 380 passing yards to become the 10th quarterback in NFL history to hit 60,000 passing yards. Rather exciting stuff coming from Matthew Stafford right there. 380 over the next 2 weeks feels realistic, but also we're off of a 110 game. And before that was like a 130-something game, so not a guarantee, but very real that can happen. We're at home now, not playing in terrible weather in Santa Clara and the super cold in East Rutherford. Next up, Kyron Williams. He reached career highs in both rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, so that's rather exciting. He does continue to get better. He is currently 13th. His season right now is 13th most rushing yards in a single season by a Rams running back. He is 8 yards short of the 2018 Gurley season, which is rather exciting. I don't know if you remember that season. It was so sick. So sick for Todd and the boys there. He needs 139 yards to become the 4th running back in franchise history to hit 1,400. Yes, the 4th different running back to hit 1,400 yards for the Rams on just 139 rushing yards. Have not seen that as a Rams running back. Have not seen that since Steven Jackson, 2009. Yes, Todd Gurley did not do that. Steven Jackson, most recent 09, which blows my mind. And also, by the way, sidebar, the 09 Rams getting a 1,400 plus season out of Jackson, dude. The rest of that team was so bad, dude. We won 1 game, but we had one of the sickest seasons out of a running back in our team's history. Come on, man. Gosh. Rams have come a long way. Also, Kyron Williams currently on pace for 1,409. That would be 7th most in a single season in Rams history and more than any Marshall Faulk season. So pretty cool stuff there. He's also currently tied for 8th most rushing touchdown touchdowns by a Rams running back in a single season, so can slip into higher with any 5 fumbles on the season. That's tied for the 82nd most in a single season with like 40 dudes. And I mentioned that one because it stuck out to me that Eric Dickerson's 2105 season, he had 14 fumbles. And Kyron has 5 this year, and we're like, get rid of this clown. And like, and it's like, well, maybe just relax a little bit. 14? I mean, that's a lot of fumbles, dude. So, and also we know that is like one of the sickest seasons in like NFL history out of any running back. And 14 of them, 14 fumbles. That's almost one a game. And Kyron's had 5, and we're like, get this clown out of here. We just need to relax, I think, a little bit. Kyron needs 113 yards to pass Cleveland Gary for 15th most in Rams franchise history. He needs 3 rushing touchdowns to tie both Roman Gabriel and Dick Hayner for 10th most in Rams franchise history. Next up, Puka Nacua needs 40 receiving yards to pass Ron Jesse for 21st most in Rams history. Tyler Higbee reached 13th in receiving yards in franchise history, passing Bob Boyd, and now is tied with Robert Woods for 14th most receiving touchdowns in franchise history. Bobby Trees getting the mention here. Love to see it. Rams offensive line reached 3 straight games without a sack. That is the second longest streak in franchise history and the first time in a long time. Quentin Lake reached 100 tackles on the season. He is the 11th Rams defensive back to accomplish that feat, and the first one since Jordan Fuller did it a few years back. Joshua Carty. Didn't think we'd get this one in here, did you? Joshua Carty. Carty time. Carty on, Wayne. When it's time to Carty, we will Carty hard, man. And other party puns. But Joshua Carty does need just 1 made field goal to pass Greg Zuerlein for the most made field goals by a Rams rookie kicker. Greg Zuerlein, GZ, Greg the Leg. Man, we have some sweet nicknames for kickers around these parts, man. and we'll wrap it up with our record watch, which is still Christian Roseboom. That is right. Currently on pace for 145 tackles. That would tie the Rams' single-season record set last year by Ernest Jones. So I'm kind of hoping that Christian Roseboom can stack them up this week and hopefully the following week as well. But if we also get the Seahawks game that doesn't matter, I mean, I don't really want that because I think meaningful football is way cooler than meaningless football. And maybe I'm alone there, and I realize that meaningful football could be coming after meaningless football, and that it would in that situation. But still, meaningless football is so boring, dude. Like, even like the 52-0 win against the Raiders, like, yeah, it was awesome to be able to talk all that trash and just be like, dude, crushed you guys, man. But actively watching the game unfold, it was only cool till like halftime. Then I was chilling, you know what I mean? Like, then I'm just like hanging out, the rest of the time. So I like it when it's action-packed and real tight in there and stuff like that. So hopefully we get that. And, yeah, we'll see what happens, though. Christian Roseboom, though, looking at potential Rams record for most tackles in a single season. We've come a long way since those James Laurinaitis days, as those records now starting to fall. But we also have an extra game now, so records are going to be falling. That is all. And I did just, this has been sitting here for this show. Covering my mug right now. I just want to show this off real quick. It's Christmas Day, like I said, that I'm recording this. My mom made my cat this little helmet. It's crocheted, and it's got little ear holes and stuff. He hates it, obviously, but we'll make him love it, dude, because this is the coolest thing I think I've ever gotten in my life, man. So, yeah, like my cat, Carl is his name. Maybe I'll remember to put a picture of him up this time. I realized I forgot last time, so maybe I'll remember this time. We'll see what happens. So that is going to do it for me, though. It's weird. I don't have fan quesos. Usually I'd send it to a break right now and just be right back. But I didn't do the fan quesos post, so we have no fan quesos to talk about. I'll just assume that everybody is going to be locked and loaded, and there's going to be a billion of them next week. So as we get into the final week of the season, get into a game preview against the Seattle Seahawks to hopefully already have the division locked up, or at least be in a situation to just lock it up and go to the playoffs with a home game at SoFi Stadium. We'll get that full game preview next week, and it's going to be awesome. Before we can get to that, though, of course, we do have a football game this weekend as the Arizona Cardinals coming to town, and we owe them one, dude. I mean, like 41-10. like earlier this year. Like, we owe them one. So not only do we hope that the Rams win, but we kind of got to like dig in a little bit on these guys. You know what I mean? Like 41-10, dude. That's like you can't just you can't just win the game. You can't go in and like get like a 17-13 win in this one. Like you gotta beat them up, dude. Just throw some bows and stuff, man. Like I don't know. Before I get too aggressive, I don't know what I would say, but but that's kind of what I'm looking for in this one, man. Just I want to see the Rams just kind of beat up on Arizona, man. We owe them that one back. They got us in that one, in fairness. So give back, man. Give back. More than 41-10. Let's outscore them for this season. That's what I want to see. We need to beat them by more than 31 points so that we can outscore them this season. I want to see that so bad, dude. But that is it for me. Fan Quesos, make sure you guys got them next week. If you have them already, you want to send them over to me, shoot them on the Rams Showcase socials. I can check them out that way as well. At Rams Showcase, at Sheriff Joe Bags. That's where you can follow on your favorite social media, and ramshowcase.com. But that is going to do it for me. I am Sheriff Joe Bags. This has been Rams Showcase on Sports War Radio and the Fan-Sided Network. For those of you who aren't Rams fans, our thoughts and prayers are with you. For those of you who are Rams fans, thank you so much for watching, and go Rams.